In 1939, a young American from Los Angeles traveled to Mexico City. Alex Buckman had been asked to install a new security system to the house of an aging political exile. A keen photographer and occasional journalist, he naturally took with him his Standard 8 Bell & Howell cine camera and his 35mm Leica. During his stay, Buckman produced the last filmed record of Trotsky, including the only color footage ever taken of him. In May 1940, an unsuccessful attempt was made on Trotsky's life, some 200 bullets ripping through the family home in the Avenida Vienna. 3 months later, on August the 20th, a Stalinist agent, Ramon Mercador, completed the job, crashing an ice pick into his victim's skull. Here is the man who, at the height of his power, led the Soviet people in revolution, through civil war and in debate. How ironic then to find that the only color footage portrays him in peasant's clothing, politically impotent, a stranger in a strange land. But of all Stalin's victims, only Leon Trotsky remains an outcast. Compared with other political leaders this century, we have relatively few images of Trotsky at the height of his power, though their number increases daily. And yet, he played a central role in the organization of the 1917 revolution. Along with Lenin, he was identified by the people as co-leader of the insurrection. It's even said that some confused Lenin and Trotsky to such an extent that they were considered one and the same person. Ironically, it was a low-profile comrade from Georgia who credited Trotsky with the successes of October. The entire labor of practical organization of the insurrection was placed under the immediate direction of Comrade Trotsky. It can be stated with certainty that the party owes the rapid coming over of the garrison, above all, and essentially, to Comrade Trotsky. In 1917, the Red Guards of Petrograd and Moscow numbered a mere 7,000 fully armed men. With 22 foreign armies bearing down on all sides, and loyal Tsarist forces still on the loose, it was Trotsky's task as Commissar of War to build a credible fighting force. By 1919, the Red Army numbered almost 5 million men and women. Trotsky became a familiar sight, traveling to all fronts in his mobile headquarters. The strength of the revolution seemed to run in parallel with the strength and influence of the Commissar of War. As the Soviet Union began its long, slow climb out of the war years, a power struggle developed in the Kremlin, a struggle that was to leave Joseph Stalin as General Secretary of the Communist Party, ready to destroy anyone who might pose a threat to his ambitions. Whilst Lenin lay dying, Stalin slowly but surely instated loyal men in key party positions. Trotsky became isolated and distracted by politically irrelevant duties. Lenin's last testament was the final warning. Trotsky is the most able man in the Central Committee. Stalin is too rude. He has unlimited authority. Remove Stalin from position of General Secretary. But these warnings were suppressed by Stalin, and for the sake of party unity, and to allay fears concerning his own ambitions, Trotsky remained silent. Stalin's victory was sealed in these few months. With the assassination of Leon Trotsky, Stalin finally exorcised the spirit that had plagued his rise to power for 20 years. It was not only Trotsky's articulate and persuasive arguments that undermined Stalin's dictatorship, it was as much Trotsky as a figurehead for the voices of opposition and dissent. Stalin knew that Trotsky's role in the October Revolution had been decisive. If he were ever to feel secure, Stalin had to remove the figure who, along with Lenin, represented the original Bolshevik spirit and embodied its ideals. In January 1937, Trotsky arrived in Mexico. It was to be his last place of exile. All the anti-Stalinist forces had been wiped out. Trotskyism, Zinovievism, and Bukharinism, all drowned in blood, had, like some Atlantis, vanished from all political horizons. and he himself was now the sole survivor of Atlantis.